And
Hello, everybody. It's me, Aaron, my friend Jason. We're gonna here talk to you about week 12 of the SoonerNation Fantasy Football League. Are we still pretending there's an intro, or we're
now
acting
we're
like
just
it
gonna skip
didn't
the intro.
exist?
No one has
Good,
made many mention of it, so we're just gonna skip
good.
it from here on out.
Okay, good. Sounds good. Jason, despite losing this week, things are pretty great. We had a terrific breakfast this morning. Full half of the league got together at historic Cattleman Steakhouse. So good to see everybody there, especially Dr. Phantasm. What a fun surprise, and John showed up too. That was great. We had the awesome snow game Thursday night. Almost every game in the league was in doubt coming into Monday night. Just some surprise winners. It's an exciting time. You know, uh, I don't know. Just, oh yeah, beautiful. Look at that.
Absolutely exciting
Yeah,
time. Yeah. Uh,
yeah,
I don't know how many times a year half the league gets together, but it can't be a lot. It can't be a lot of the time that you got six owners in one spot.
yeah. Not enough for sure.
Yeah. Uh,
Jason, I don't think anything sums up fantasy football quite like being swept, going 0 and 2 against a team you've outscored by an average of 21 points a game. Over 200 points on the season. 0 and 2 in the record book. That's fantasy football.
Absolutely.
That is this cruel mistress that we have dared to woo. And more often than not, she leaves us crying and in heartbreak with a nasty, raging case of syphilis and an empty bank account. Should we get into it?
It's already on the screen, buddy. Let's
Oh,
hit it.
good.
How did this
Yeah,
happen? How did this
yeah.
happen?
Man, the ghosts are surging. Highest score of the week.
Wow.
I think he had that distinction a week or two ago also. So, we had three quarterbacks this week have their first 50-point game of the season.
Oh, wow.
Two of them in this game, and then another guy you might have heard of, Patrick Mahomes, finally cracked the old 50 burger. But
Wow.
yeah, neat that these two guys going head to head here. Boy, the Dolphins are kind of rounding into shape now, just in time for the money games and the playoffs. The two to Achan combo is it's lethal. I felt like I was sunk as soon as Achan caught the touchdown pass. I was like, well, you don't. I'm not going to recover from this. I wasn't expecting the 50 from Caleb, so I thought I was going to have to win like an ugly game. No fun being on the receiving end of one of those 15-point just fantasy bomb swingers. Um, it was a good night to face the top kicker in the league. Chris Boswell was trying to kick in a blizzard. That worked in my favor. Uh, I was tempted to start Nick Chubb, but I did not have the courage to do it. But my thinking was just stupid. I I thought if I could be sure I was going to lose to Josh, I want to start Chubb as like a ceremonial start. Uh, Right. So just I'm an idiot. What I mean, cowardly loser mentality cost me the win. Uh, but I feel great about Caleb's development. He's thriving out from under Shane Waldron. I don't really mind that they lose because that maybe helps Eberflus hit the road. I think it is interesting that Zay Flowers and Amon Ross scored the exact same points after being traded for one another a couple weeks ago. Here I think I'm still going to make the playoffs, so I'm not going to sweat it too much. But it, it sucks losing to Josh again.
Yeah, it opens up the door for him to make quite a run
Yeah,
at the playoffs too. I tell you what, I've been wanting to talk to you about this all week because I think the Jason Smith Najigba should be my perhaps a name of my fantasy football team in the future. Uh, but also, I highly
man.
criticized that trade after 3 weeks. You said you made the trade because uh, there were four receivers in that wide receiver room, and go tell us the story again. I forgot.
Oh, yeah, it's a ridiculous anecdote. So, Jackson Smith and Jigba was on the same college team with Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson,
Okay.
and their quarterback C.J. Stroud. And I guess each of these people has come out and said that JSN is the best receiver of the three. Like each receiver said that. CJ Stroud said that, and the wide receiver coach said it. And so I heard that story, and I sent Brandon the trade offer like a day
Yeah,
later because I
yeah,
couldn't get the story out of my head.
yeah,
And that's obviously I mean that's a stupid reason to make a trade because Brian Thomas Jr. looks like all-star material. But
yeah. But
boy, I'm feeling yeah.
Jackson looks like a keeper right now.
Yeah, I'm
I mean,
feeling really good about the last few weeks. Like the team seems to have like come around with the idea. Like it took DK Metcalf getting hurt for the Seahawks to try to use Jackson Smith in ways that he hadn't been used before. They just these little dumb Mickey Mouse dink and dunk routes. Now he was getting to do the big boy routes, and it turns out he's really good at those.
yeah.
So
And
it's really encouraging.
Tyler Lockett was dropped in our league on Wednesday, not picked up on Saturday. I thought that was really interesting. As
Yeah,
was Raheem Mostert, also dropped on Wednesday, not picked up on Saturday. Uh, no buys this week, which is really interesting. But then 6 buys week 14. Really
stupid.
be really interesting to see kind of what happens with that many players
Yeah,
on buy. But yeah, we've probably taken too long on this game. But congrats to Josh. He is
yeah.
he is looking at making a run. And what he said today at lunch, for those of you who couldn't make it, he said he's making a run to win it again this year. So man,
Yeah, not throwing
uh,
it in.
let's go to this heartbreak of a game. The Rhinos last week had to wait out a last second loss on Monday night. This week, a last second win. Break it down for us.
Yeah, disaster of a start for Logan. Cedric Tillman was playing in a blizzard. He has two catches. One results in a fumble. One results in a hit that just ends his evening. So, pretty remarkable to come out on top after that kind of a ignominious start. This was in many ways an old school Rhinos win. I mean, Patrick Mahomes just carries the Rhinos while most of the rest of the team is just found wanting more points. Uh, I am sick at how great Jonnu Smith looks
Oh,
because I drafted him, and this is exactly what I envisioned when I drafted him. He fell so late, and I was like, "Oh, you idiots! He's gonna tear it up those wide open lanes." And then the Dolphins stunk for a while, and I just cut bait because I'm smart that way. And he is awesome. He is just I mean Jeff might need to go to the two tight end lineup if he's still committed to Pitts. Uh, Man, Justin Herbert was so close to delivering Mahoney a win. Quentin Johnston's hands had other ideas. That dude catches like me. Uh, Otherwise, Chris is a nice, solid, balanced week. 28 points for Jacobs. That's awesome. Season
yeah,
high.
yeah.
He's been a good play. Chuba's fending off Jonathan Brooks. Just unfortunately for Mahoney, just not enough to fend off the Rhinos.
I thought it was amazing to have 1 point between both of their defenses here. Can't believe the Lions, as good as they've been, score
Yeah,
0 points.
yeah, and just it really crushed Indy. Indianapolis
Yes,
did not put up
yes.
yards or points, just enough not to get any of those bonuses.
Yeah, it's just that to me was one of the biggest shocks of the game because I would have been looking at that if I were the Rhinos and of course the Tillman game you talked about on Thursday night if Justin Herbert just would have had a couple of catches by Quentin Johnston. I
Yeah,
mean, just like one of his 5 drops gets completed, especially one of them, and he has, just sort of has an
it,
easy win.
yeah, and he's not sweating it at all.
Oh, it had to be heartbreak for Chris to watch his team lose. But Rhinos, congrats to him to be able to have a win on Monday night after a loss last Monday night.
Yeah,
This was just a very interesting game. And Mahomes is throwing the ball around a little bit more. So
yeah,
I'm
getting a
I'm on
few
the
more
lookout for that.
guys. He's more targets.
Yeah.
Hollywood might be coming back, so
Yeah. Uh,
uh,
Another close
yes,
game here. Both of these teams being 6-6.
yes, yeah. This was a good one. Do you think it hurt Chad's Baker Mayfield's feelings? The number three ranked quarterback of the season when Chad declared Bo Nix his quarterback of the future. I
It's
think
just
that might rub. This keeps happening to him.
I think that actually Chad unknowingly is going to light one more fire underneath Baker, and it's just probably what he needs to be able
Yeah,
to be able to
yeah. It's
succeed.
Cleveland all over again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
Hey, I'll tell
yeah.
you what, I am not a Sooner fan. I root for Baker. There's a couple of plays that I'm sure many people saw on social media. One, he's Bucky Irving's running for a
Yes.
40-yard game. He's
Blocking way downfield.
yes, he's 50 yards downfield blocking for him. Then he celebrates with him. I mean, he's a
Yeah.
football player's football player,
Yeah.
and he's awesome to root for. And got the Rompers a win here yet again.
Yeah.
Uh, and he's got the Bucky and Mayfield moment. So congrats to Chad. But you break down the rest of the game for us.
Yeah.
Neither of these teams break 100 points.
No, I mean it's kind of an icky scoring game, but uh that Tampa game was so fun with oh my goodness. That Tampa game was so fun with so many different touchdowns, different guys. They had like 4 or 5 different guys. Uh Bucky could have had even more really if he was getting all of those. Tony Pollard, best game of the season. I don't give that guy enough credit, but he did
Right?
great here. Really everybody but Cooper Kupp, a disappointment for Jay. It's a good win for Chad. It evens up the series against the Vipers. It's gonna be really fun to see how these 6-6 teams jockey here over the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. To me, it was a game of the bench of the wide receivers. Cortland Sutton looks incredible the last four
Yeah,
or 5 weeks with Bo Nix. And then,
yeah,
I mean, you've got Cup, Pickens, and Dobbs for the Vipers. And he's got both Waddle and Addison on his bench, both scoring more
yeah.
than 20 points.
Blowing up.
How in the world? I mean, you can't fault Jay Waddle's been so inconsistent, so of
Yeah,
course you're not going to start him. But man,
yeah,
to sit there and then, you know, Minnesota gets nothing out of Jefferson, just 27 yards, and it happens to be
yeah,
8 for 162 and a touchdown for Addison. I mean, what a
yeah.
game.
Because Sam Darnold had a pretty good game,
Yeah,
and just Jefferson got none of it.
yeah, yeah. He had a second catch in the middle of the fourth quarter. But it was just hard. Yeah, it'll be got some choices to make here on these teams coming down the
Yeah,
stretch, especially at quarterback for Chad.
yeah.
So
Now that it really matters too, these
yeah,
these these wins are the ones that count.
it's great. Oh, this is
Oh,
just
speaking of,
Karate Kid with the least amount of points. As close as this game looks, it was the biggest spread of all the games. Every game this week was
yeah,
so close.
yeah. It was a tight week, and the lowest scoring affair of the week. Jalen Hurts' worst game since September. It's his worst game since joining Joken Rolkin Tolkien. Bowers also his worst game since September. David Montgomery could have had more. He got hurt. Everybody besides the Texans defense just came up really short. This McCaffrey is not scary at all.
Nope.
Uh, 23 points for a defense is outrageous. 23 points for a defense that lost the game is unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Good news for Nico. It's his best game since the hamstring injury. You gotta hope better days are ahead with Stroud and Nico. The O line could just stop giving up pressure, committing penalties. Jason, you have beef with True John over Joe Mixon. He has the illegal shift on a play that negates a otherwise a Stroud to Nico touchdown. That the illegal shift did not help that play. That's a touchdown. That
24-point touchdown. And
yeah,
I don't know if you also saw Justin Jefferson had a 60-yard touchdown called back too. Uh,
yeah,
and so it was just just
yeah,
I don't know I don't know what I don't know what to do. There's definitely not been my year. It just seems like
yeah,
time and again, 2 weeks in a row that Nico gets a touchdown call back.
yeah, yeah. You'd be
For
really thinking differently about your team
I really
if just
would.
these really not if
First one, just the kind of like these, but they're careless. It kind of
yeah,
talks about Houston's year, like uh,
yeah,
a small little procedure penalty where two guys are moving at the same time, and
yeah,
then the second one was a legal man downfield on a screen pass for half a yard downfield. You're just like,
yeah.
I
It
mean,
just
just not paying attention to the little things, which kind of surprises me because I felt like Houston's coach last year coming on with CJ was just really something
yeah,
special. I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like Houston's off. They're not just their offensive line, but just procedure stuff. I don't. It's week 12. You kind of are who you kind of are. Uh,
yeah.
I kind of feel like my team's like got a lot of good names, but they haven't been producing. And I kind of feel like certainly at some point they'll turn it on. But maybe that's kind of like even what I'm
Yeah,
finding out about myself as I turn 45 and move towards 50. We talked about turning 50 tonight. I mean, this
yeah,
morning when we had breakfast at Cattleman's, maybe I am who I am. And, maybe this I'm gonna be the guy who I'm gonna be, and maybe my team
yeah,
be the team that I am. So, uh,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if I
Stop
voted.
the
I don't know who I'm gonna vote for in the poll, but I don't know. It doesn't feel pretty good, but it's sometimes you're just a team that makes messy penalties and don't score. So.
Yeah, yeah. Are you at this point you're hoping your husband's going to stop drinking, or are you going to just accept that you've married an alcoholic and get a divorce?
Well, I guess we'll find out when
Mark.
CJ Stroud plays the Jags. I guess we'll find
Yeah,
out
yeah.
I guess we'll find out how
So
many touchdowns can get called back on the Karate Card this week is the kind of the game I'm playing right now. So
are you still at this point you're still thinking championship? You have aspirations, or do you hope you make the playoffs?
you know what? I kind of happy either way. If I make the playoffs, you never know.
Yeah,
Uh, if I don't make the playoffs, I still have my number one draft pick, and my second round pick would be at the very end. That I have an early third round pick.
yeah.
I'd be happy if I made the playoffs and had made a run at an upset. I'd be happy to be bottom four. I mean, I
That's
I
good.
don't I don't have anyone that's playing to the level of Burrow and Chase. I just don't have anybody who's throwing the ball and catching the ball like that. So I don't know. I don't feel like if I made the playoffs, I could go 3 rounds. Does that make sense? I mean,
Yeah, you got to get hot.
maybe an upset in round one, just if you get lucky, but like I don't think I have the team right now to win 3 straight playoff games.
You
So
do have all the names though. I mean,
they look
those are
really
some
pretty.
pedigree.
They look really pretty. But
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill has not had a 100-yard game since week one, since he got arrested.
Yeah.
Or detained on the way to the stadium. Ken Walker looks really good. He doesn't score. Geno scores all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Jefferson looks awesome, but I don't know if Sam Darnold can get him the ball. Travis Kelce gives up touchdowns to Noah Gray, 4 touchdowns the last 2 weeks for Noah Gray. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of like I think Justin Tucker scores a lot of points, but I mean he hasn't scored over 10 in a number of weeks. So and I feel like I've streamed defenses all year and never picked the right one. So it seems like kind of a middling year. I tell you what,
Yeah.
the 2-6 the last 8 weeks has
Mm.
been kind of a bummer. So I don't anticipate a big run but I don't anticipate a big run right now. So uh, we just spent way too much time on my team. It's getting late.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I pulled you into that.
Let's move on to a loss here from Due Divides. He gets 1 point from
Yeah.
the Chargers. He gets 0.6 points from Javonte Williams.
Mm.
Uh, I don't know how John felt about how he did after Mixon only gets him 4, but man, there was one particular play that put him over the top. I'm sure you're going to cover it as you break down the Pharisees' win, getting to 8-4 over the Due Divides.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm assuming you're talking about the giant McLaurin catch that
Absolutely, man.
which kind of although I mean that Jaden Daniels got those same points, so I don't know if that really helped anything.
Yeah, but that
What
that play, yeah, you're exactly right. Sorry. I just as I saw Scary Terry, I just thought about that play.
yeah.
It was historic.
What a gross running back battle here though.
Oh,
Man, that's nasty. Likely already a lock. But the eighth win cements John's spot in the playoffs for sure. He kind of does the Milton Berle here, just shows enough to dispatch the inferior team, get the sweep. He's got to be worried about these running back outputs, though. I hope this is just a floor, an aberration game, not the start of a trend, because that'll put a stop to your fantasy aspirations real quick. Jane Daniels put up a good fight, but it's something broken on that offense the last month or so. He got loose with McLaurin on the big play, but the points are not coming easily like they were those first 2 months.
yeah.
Carr's got to be encouraged to get Mike Evans back. He's going to need big weeks from Evans and Kittle and Daniels if he's going to find a way in the playoffs. But it doesn't look like it's happening.
Yeah, he put his whole team up for sale and didn't make a trade. So
That's
uh I speaking of the Pharisees, I think he's gonna end up going with the 3 wide receivers moving forward with Higgins not on a bye
yeah,
or Higgins, McLaurin, Puka is really good to pair with Joe Mixon.
that's
I think I
yeah.
think I think the Titans defense is really pretty good and the Titans are playing better than I think people anticipate right now.
No,
So
I agree.
I'm not worried about him at all. And Lamar looks so good. I mean, he looks awesome.
Yeah,
Uh, they really dispatched the Chargers. I thought the Chargers looked awesome on the first couple drives, and I was like, oh man, the
yeah,
Baltimore's gonna get beat, and they just
yeah.
awesome. So, uh, yeah, I don't know. San Francisco looks like a lost season for them at 5-6, and no Brock Purdy. I'll be really interested to see. How about Josh having Brock and Tua, and Brock gets hurt when Tua gets healthy, moving for the playoffs.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, amazing, amazing stuff. So,
Yeah, and I wonder if that cost me a win this week, Purdy getting hurt. Because I don't know if Purdy's putting up 50.
oh, he's probably not. He's
I mean,
probably
he has, he can, but
nah.
yeah,
Yeah, just that's a good question. Well,
yeah.
our game of the week this week was sponsored
Yes.
by a sponsor that you picked up last week. The sponsor was Cobra Kai season
Mm,
6,
look at
which has
that.
launched since I think since the show
Yeah.
started. So
Mm.
take break us down. Anything to add about this great Cobra Kai show?
No, I mean it's an inherently stupid show, but it's really fun.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah.
And also fun was this game. Two
Yes.
teams at 7-5 now. What a win from the Hellhounds. Break it down.
Yeah.
There's one particular player that looks like this stands out.
You
One
see,
player looks different than all the rest of
yeah.
them. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Who
Sam
is it?
Laporta just
Who
keeps
is
having a
it?
hard time getting started. That I don't know. No, obviously the whole story is Saquon Barkley. Just what, 2 70-yard runs. 70, he just lifted up the Hellhounds and he just carried them down the field. Uh, I mean, just he's it actually catapulted him to the top of our or running back rankings. He passed Derrick Henry,
Wow.
and that's with Derrick Henry hasn't had a bye yet, and Saquon has passed him anyway.
Wow.
So big changing the guard up top. Man, I don't know. The rest of the week, Lad McConkey, I think he's good enough. I mean, he's good. He's going to be good. I don't know if he can be like top tier, but that dude can definitely play in the league.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what else. Najee Harris kind of he needed the snow tires. He couldn't get going in the snow game the way the other guys could. Both the quarterbacks kind of let their teams down. Not really an issue for Shane because he's got Josh Allen ready to step back in, but I don't know if the Hellhounds might need to be a little worried, not really having a dependable option here. I would be worried. Man, 21 points for Gibbs is terrific, but he got doubled by Saquon. That kind of a game wrecker. It's just going to overshadow everything else.
Yeah.
That is the story. Is just
Yeah.
Saquon is just like he he's on a whole other tier. He is his own tier right now.
As I was looking at these games about 6 o'clock on Sunday, I was like, nice win for the Sweat Sox. Just not a great game from Drake May, but he just got it done. I thought, Saquon's got to score 40 points, for the Hounds to win. So I had
Yeah,
already chalked it up. I don't know if Shane follows the games like as they're happening or not, but I would love to hear Shane maybe on the message board or the text thread to be like, see if you looked at your scores and
yeah.
saw where you
That
were.
percentage.
Yes, like, oh, this is a great win. Feeling good. Gonna go take my wife on a date on Sunday night. Go get some ice cream. Just enjoy it. There's no way
Yeah.
that Saquon's going to go for 300 yards from scrimmage and 2 touchdowns, and yet here we are. So, uh,
Outrageous. Yeah.
you gotta live that up. So, let's go ahead and look at our league standings.
Yeah, look at that.
Pharisees back on top,
8.
only team in the league with 8 wins.
Man.
Just look at this hot for teacher division. Look at how many combined wins there. Just incredible.
Yeah.
Everybody at 500 or better.
Yeah,
Only three
they're
teams with
tough.
4 wins. Josh could sneak into the playoffs. Of all the teams with 4 wins, Josh with a division record of 2-2, which I
Yeah.
think actually kind of does matter when it comes to our tiebreakers when it
It's
comes.
one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, so uh it's just really interesting. I think it's everything that Roger Goodell wants in our fantasy leagues. You have a 60-point lead.
Yes.
Uh and the Karate Kid continues to just falter,
Mm.
putting up 82 points this week, nearing the very bottom, sniffing Mahoney and Ghost level. Let's move on. Let's move on to best ball. This
Uh,
week's best ball. The oddity of the week was Brandon not having any points from kicker or defense.
oh no.
That was interesting. Numerous teams this week had zeros from either tight end or kicker or defense, but
Yeah,
I
it's tough
really
out there.
I really thought that it was funny that Brandon was 0 for 2 on both of those. And then the
Oof.
Hellhounds almost cracked 100 almost
Yeah.
200. He has Saquon, Waddle, Addison, Irving. Uh,
That's nasty.
so even though he's got such an inconsistent quarterback in Stroud, let's let's keep going. Uh, the standings. Look at the Vapors.
Mm,
I mean, just
way out ahead.
running away with everything
Yeah.
right here. And then Mahoney has come through for the South Division with a
Yeah,
bunch of
pretty good
points.
lead there too.
Yeah. So, but my goodness, the Vapors just standing tall in the best ball league. Picks contest had numerous teams
Mm,
go 10-3 this week, uh, including you, uh, but also including Josh. So nothing changed
yeah,
at the top
yeah,
here.
unfortunately.
So a lot of games that were within, like, everybody picked Houston. Uh, the Rhinos always seem to be kind of outliers,
Yeah.
but yet they did really well. On some of their games. So always like to see how those end up. And the super
Oh
contest
yeah.
this week, lots of green, Whiteside with the 4-point week. Middendorf had the weakest week with 1.5, and
Mm.
then Smith adds a half a game
Oh,
to his overall lead, leading by
look
one
out.
and a half over Weiss with 37 points after week 12 for the super contest. And now we go to the week 13 preview. Uh Now back in the olden days, I believe
Yeah.
this was actually uh one of those weeks when you were looking at the tiebreakers because in the olden days the playoffs started. Didn't the playoffs start 14, 15, 16 in the olden days?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
with the
this was kind
17
of
game season.
going into the last week. But this we've got two more regular season weeks where again we're back in the division play, and this is a big
Yeah.
one to start us out. We've got a
Man.
team that's 4-8 versus a team that's 6-6.
Yeah.
You talked about the 4, 6, and 6 teams, but right here we've got a 4-8 team that's looking for the playoffs. So break down this.
Yeah. Yeah, and they are hungry. Um, I do like Mahomes on Black Friday versus the Raiders. I like him to outscore Tua in what's looking like it might be a bad weather conditions in Green Bay. I don't think Josh can wait to see if Purdy's going to be okay or not. I think he's going to have to roll with this
Yeah, yeah,
and just hope the weather cooperates. Um, Derrick Henry versus Achan is a big time battle. I like Henry to outperform there, but uh, you never know with that. If it's a crazy weather game, Achan might he can have 4 touchdowns. Maybe he gets somebody falls down and he's gone. So
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I kind of worry about Tyrone Tracy maybe fumbling away the starting gig.
Mm,
He's had a couple fumbles
yeah.
last couple weeks. I feel like Jeff's going to have to go. Yeah, he's already got the 3 wide receiver lineup in there. I thought he'd either do that or the double tight end.
Right.
I think
And
Josh wins that second.
he
Go
might
ahead.
go Pitts over Tillman if Tillman's not ready.
That's what I wondered. He's got him in reserve. I
Yeah,
wouldn't be surprised if he does the double tight end.
yeah.
Uh, Wide receiver, I think, is where Jeff's going to make the most ground, and I think it's going to be enough to put the ghosts away and end those playoff dreams.
You know what? I think the same exact thing. I was thinking and again, I hope that people are watching the show and then if they happen to be sports bettors or gamblers, just fading my
Mm.
picks because right now I keep remembering the Dolphins going to Kansas City in the playoff game and just laying down and just being like, you know what? We don't want to be
Just
here.
like,
It's too cold for us. We're from Miami. We want to be back in South Beach, not even want
yeah,
to get off the plane. And so with the ghosts being so tied to those Miami players, and again, Juwan Jennings says I don't think he's going to be the player if he's got Brandon Allen
yeah.
throwing to him.
It's somebody not great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna take the Rhinos. And by the way, why Friday at 2 o'clock? Why can't that be a Friday night game?
Right. It's,
I don't like that it's at 2 o'clock. I don't like
no,
it
no,
at 2 o'clock.
I'm working. I'm not gonna see it. I'm working.
I know. I just was like, I just was disappointed. I was just like, you know what?
Yeah.
That's a weird time to have a football game on a Friday. I mean, I would want that
Yeah.
game to be 6 p.m., 7 p.m.
Yeah.
uh Friday night. I mean, people do have jobs where they work still. And so like you. So
Yeah.
I was bummed about that, but I'm taking the Rhinos. Tell us about this game here.
Mm.
Another 4,300 matchup.
Yeah, speaking of the Cobra Kai show that we referenced on the game of the week, as I was working on my notes, when I was working on this game, we had the Kelly Clarkson show on television, and Miguel from the Cobra Kai show was on Kelly Clarkson. So, I mean, if that's not a sign, I don't know what is because I sure didn't see Steve Gutenberg or Tackleberry or the guy who makes the funny noises. He was not on Kelly Clarkson, Cobra Kai.
Why
I don't
even
know.
play the game? Congrats on the win, Aaron.
Yes, yeah. Come
Why
on,
even
give
play the
me.
game?
Steelers are a tough test for Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I think Justin Herbert's got a much easier opponent in the Falcons. I still like Joe a whole lot. He's my boy. I'm taking him, my man. But I don't love that matchup. I don't want to know what TJ Watt's going to do to that offensive line. Um, I think Jacobs and Brees Hall, it's kind of a wash. I do expect Jonathan Taylor to outclass Chuba Hubbard. He's coming off Taylor not coming off a great week. Jason, do you know just off the top of your head who the number one and number two scoring wide receivers are in the league right now?
Oh, I would say Chase
Mm,
and Brown.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll give you a hint. There, you're right. Chris is going to find out this week. Amon-Ra St. Brown, number two. Jamar Chase, number one.
Yeah.
And I don't think Jacoby Myers or Jerry Jeudy or Xavier Worthy, they're not up to the task. Ocho Cinco is not walking through that door for Mahoney, and it's going to cost him a shot at the playoffs. Cobra Kai, they win, they sweep the leg, they sweep the Mahoney.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, at this point, how can you bet against Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase with St. Brown in there? So weird to see 11:30 on Thursday as a significant games to be played here. Just a
Yeah,
wild week in the NFL to have games that early go all the way until Monday
that's a
night late.
wild day. Yeah, wild
Uh,
week.
it's just yeah, it's just what we had to get the show in quick because the game starts
Yeah,
so soon, you know. So
yeah, yeah.
it's kind of wild to have everything spread out so significantly. And as I was looking at previewing the games, feels like everybody has somebody going on Thursday, Sunday, and a night game. So
Awesome.
uh,
Yeah,
pretty special, and it
yeah.
has to be because there's no buys this week. Uh, I thought
Yeah.
wild that there's six teams on buy on week 14. Who is it?
Mm.
Remember how the Major League Baseball had just that one couple do all of the schedule of 162 game season for every single team by hand? It feels like they called upon that same couple to do to the NFL schedule this week, and it didn't have AI or an algorithm do it because 16
Yeah.
on by week 14 makes no sense to me
No, I
at
hate
all.
that.
So
I hate
again,
it.
this isn't the game of the week, but what a huge game with an
Yeah.
6 team going.
Yeah, I mean they could make a claim for it. This is a big one.
Yeah, I think so too.
Um Real interested to see which quarterback Chad rolls with. They seem pretty similar to me. Um I don't know, man. Carolina is going to be in trouble, I think, with Baker.
Divisional game
Um
there.
yeah, yeah. Um both of John's guys play on Thanksgiving, so his holiday experience may vary based on performance here. Uh I do like the Hounds to have a bit of an edge. Although, man, I don't know. Carolina is paper thin. I don't know. Saquon's the reigning king. We have to expect him to just keep coming up big. Kyron Williams does give Chad a good counterpunch. I was kind of wondering. He's got Bucky Irving. I didn't know if he would go with Chase Brown. Irving's got the better opponent, but Brown's got a much more defined role. I don't know. It's hard to imagine Najee Harris not just ripping up the Bengals. I think they'll want to like make that game dirty and just keep it a lot of running, try to use up a lot of clock. Uh, Boy, John's got a big edge with Lamb and McConkey, and Laporta on Thanksgiving. Uh, I prefer most of John's matchups, but I'm gonna put my money on the Rowdy Rompers. Chad
Wow.
wins, evens the series.
Wow. Okay, I'm taking the Hellhounds. I'm not going to go against Saquon Barkley, although I do like the commentary to say that poor John Mendenhall, false John here, his day has to ride and fall on who he chooses as quarterback on Thanksgiving Day. Just almost torture there to be able to say
Yeah.
he's got so many players going. It's too bad the silly game of which we play for very little money can take such a maybe it doesn't for John, but for me, my day would rise and fall about how my dumb fantasy players do, and my
Yep.
dumb fantasy players have played so poorly that I would be like, I don't want my guys going. I want to have a nice day,
Just
enjoy myself. I
yeah.
I don't know what
It
that other life's like. So
it
again,
works both ways. If Jordan Love throws 4 touchdowns, John's king of the world. He's
yeah,
eating the turkey leg, running around.
absolutely.
Like,
I
yeah.
I was thinking back to last I was thinking back to Thanksgiving, thinking that the Lions were just going to absolutely roll. They were playing so awesome, and they just laid a turd on Thanksgiving morning.
Oh, that
Uh,
was
uh,
Packers, wasn't it?
Against the Packers last year. It's kind of
Yeah.
Jordan Love's, kind of coming out party last year. But
Yeah.
we need to move on to this game again. Could have been a game of the week. 7-5, 6-6, a divisional
Yes.
game. This is everything that the Sooner Nations asked for. The kind of matches we've got this week.
Yeah, I love it. When these teams played in week one, Jay won by 93 points. Most teams, you didn't score 93 this week.
No,
That
no,
was the
far from
margin
it.
of yeah. That was the margin of victory.
I
So
got to look
let's
this
hope
back
this
up.
one's a little closer. Uh, I think Geno Smith bounces back with a decent game versus the Jets, but not enough to outdo Josh Allen, assuming Shane's going to plug in Josh Allen versus the 49ers. Same case with running back. Rico Dowdle's been playing pretty decently. Giants are a good matchup. Oh, he didn't even have Dowdle in there, does he? Um, I don't know. Pollard gets the Commanders. That's pretty solid, but it's not going to be like DeAndre Swift and Jahmyr Gibbs. Those guys are on another level from what Jay's got. AJ Brown is another big edge. I feel like I do like Jay to outscore him at wide receiver two, whoever he's got plugged in there. I like tight end for Jay, but it's not going to be enough. Shane's going to win, avenge that horrible loss from week one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking back at that week two loss there,
Oh, week two. Sorry. Yeah.
147.9 to 54.5. Uh, yeah, I think that the Russell Red Sox are a good enough coach to overcome a late season surge here. Although it's interesting, listened to an interesting podcast that talked about the running backs this year who's changed teams that were veterans
Mm,
and just how incredible each of them have been. Joe Mixon on the Texans had a great year. Pollard on
yeah.
the Titans has had a great year. Saquon on the Eagles has had a great year. Uh, Derrick Henry on the Ravens have had a great
Yeah.
year. You usually have those guys between 27 and 32 when they get traded and go to a new
Yeah.
team. They just usually
Yeah.
injury prone and don't play that well, don't, work into the scheme. But the amount of elite running backs on new teams that are older veterans just
Mm.
surprising the fantasy world has been really interesting. Uh, so
J.K. Dobbins.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I hope his knee's okay, by the way. I never really
Yeah. It bent
anybody
the
to get
weird way.
I
So,
always don't root for anybody to get hurt. I'm taking
yeah.
the Sox too as we go to this game here and
Mm,
see if the Karate Kid can get back on track and try to get
yeah.
above 500.
This feels like a loser leaves town match. I guess technically the Karate Kids could lose and still be, the math still works, but um, I mean, look, if Stroud can't get it done against the Jaguars, it's time for the Karate Kid to pack up the season.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know, Jaden Daniels has that sneaky, scary Titan defense. I'm gonna give Danielson the edge at quarterback. I think Kenneth Walker the third is going to play hard, but I think Kamara versus the Rams is going to outplay him. I like the running back two spot to go more to Carr. I like James Conner a lot more than I like Tyreek Hill these days.
Yeah.
Although Tyreek could explode at any time. But we just talked about how that weather is probably not looking great in Green Bay for the Dolphins. Um, Although, here we get to the bright spot. Nico Collins, Justin Jefferson. Huge advantage over I think Josh Downs is kind of hurt. Mike Evans is coming back. I take Kittle over Kelsey. I'm gonna go with you, Jason. I think you win. You sweep the dude. You sweep him under the rug, even though it really tied the room together.
I'm taking myself too. I am already looking ahead. I was trying to figure out if I lose this game, I have to play the Pharisees. And the Pharisees next week, week 14, I have CJ Stroud and Nico Collins on by as well, but he's got Lamar on
Oh,
by, Mixon on by, McLaurin on by, Mahandre Stevenson on by. I mean, he's got four or five starters on bye next week. And
Oh,
I picked up Will Levis numerous weeks ago, looking at the week 14 matchup. He scored over 30 points each of the last 3 weeks, and he has the Jaguars. And I was like, okay,
oh,
if
yeah, that
I
works.
was looking ahead to be able to, I got to get my matchups right for week 14 because he's not gonna have his absolute, best players.
Yeah.
Uh, and
Well,
then
and Jason, he might not have anything to play for that week. Maybe John just rests everybody.
You know what? I don't think that John would do that. He's got enough players to rest. Anyway, his backup quarterback Carr, I believe, has the Giants week 14. It's
Mm,
silly how much time we all spend on this game that we get together at Cattleman's and talk at least 70% of the game about this league, but it
yeah.
is fantastic as we go to the game of the week, and it is
Yes.
sponsored by Cattleman's Cafe.
Oh, excellent.
Stockyard City, Oklahoma City. Want to give them a huge shout out. Although they didn't comp, surprisingly, they didn't comp your burrito this morning, which tell the league about the burrito that you had this morning before we talk about the last game.
Well, yeah, my breakfast burrito, there's six of us, and five people got their food. I didn't. No food for Erin. Several minutes pass. Finally, she does bring, and I did have a biscuit and gravy to eat, so it's not like I was fine. She brings my breakfast burrito, and there is grated cheese and sausage crumbles on top that are cold to the touch. Not like they had been hot and were now like room temperature. These were like they had just come out of the refrigerator and got placed on my food and just brought to the table. And I mean, I'm not really one to send food back. I don't want the hassle of it, but I mean, unacceptable. So my late food has to go back in the kitchen. You guys are all pretty much done eating by the time I got my food.
Yeah.
And and it was not comped. It was just business as usual. Welcome to Cattleman's. There's your ad. Come get
That's your sponsor.
a not
Everybody,
fresh omelet or
that's your
burrito.
sponsor. Cattleman's Cafe. Come for the cold burritos that don't get
Yeah.
comped for the game of the week. One more picture
Yeah.
here. Look at this group of guys. So good to be together.
Beautiful.
Oh man.
Just life
And
affirming to spend time with friends like that.
that's absolutely, it was such a great time.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting it together, Aaron, and thanks Josh for making the trip.
Yeah.
Okay,
Very cool.
game of the week. I guess this is the game of the week. We looked. Almost seems like there's not a game a week that's not the game of the week, but
Yeah.
this is the team with the best two records to see who can be at King of the Mountain. So break
Yeah.
down this one for us.
Seemed like a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brandon
Just
won their
some
first
just some blue
matchup.
chippers. Just some blue chippers up
Yeah.
and down.
Yeah. Yeah. Left and right. Oh, I wondered if he was going to go double tight end.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. I like it when the quarterbacks go head to head.
Me too.
Here we go. That is really fun. That's the best, really.
Yeah, it
Quarterbacks
really
head to
is.
head.
Yeah.
Um,
It's why it's the game of the week, I think, because when I was looking at him, I was like, that just puts it over the top. Two elite quarterbacks going against one another in a
yeah.
prime time slot. Yeah.
I'll tell you, I like, I think Lamar is a much better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, but I would much rather be going against the Baltimore defense than the Philly defense. The Philly defense is nasty.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm not going to be surprised if Jalen Hurts comes out with a better score here, just 'cause it's kind of an easier match. But we've seen Lamar is just never to be counted out. Um, I don't know. I don't know if we can't be surprised if McCaffrey finally has a big McCaffrey game, but otherwise, I got to give John the edge at running back here, the major edge,
Yeah.
really,
For real.
both spots. Um, Same's true at wide receiver. Brandon's got some terrific talent, but so does John. I, I think of all the agonizing lineup decisions every owner has to make this week, Brandon's have got to be the toughest. Like, who do you bench? Who do you who do you bench? I thought he would. I'm surprised he had Taysom Hill out there, but I love it. I
Yeah.
love the Hill Bowers combo.
I
Bowers
do
number
too.
two.
Yeah.
Taysom's right there behind him. I think he might be three or four.
Wow.
Um, I think Trujon wins, but I am not going to be surprised if Brandon can pull this off. And I guess that's why they call it Game of the Week.
Yeah, I love the song. After both of us lose, we get a little bit of music in the show.
Yeah,
Hey,
who
these
knew?
two teams talk about the decisions also. John doesn't have T. Higgins in there. I mean, there's no space for him. There's no
Yeah.
space
Yeah.
for one of the best wide receivers.
Who's sitting the bench?
I mean, uh, I think these two teams are super elite. I think it's a great game. I'm taking Brandon as well, just because I love the Hurts playing against Baltimore. But I would not be surprised. I hate that both of these teams are in my division. They're both so good. Uh,
Stacked.
and they, I think that this division, the Brazil division, I think probably has the favorite uh, moving forward for the whole thing. So I
Man.
think this is the biggest game of the week, maybe the biggest game of the year. Two
Ooh.
elite teams going against one another, week
Yeah.
13.
Yeah. Heavyweights.
This is the best stuff of what we got in the Sooner Nation Fantasy Football League. Thanks for watching,
Yeah.
everybody, on this
Jason,
on a Tuesday
uh,
night.
Jason, I'm thankful for you and for your friendship and all the things you do to make this show more palatable. And I'm thankful that your team kind of stinks this year.
Oh man, I'm Aaron. When we go around the table at Thanksgiving and say what we're thankful for, I will not be saying any members on the Karate Kid fantasy football team, but I will be saying thankful for one of the co-host of the this dumb show that we do each and every week. I
All right.
appreciate you, man. Thanks for all your hard work too.
Yeah.
See you, bud.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
everybody.
you too.